If you've ever tried to start real inner work and got stuck on one stupid question, this is for you. You sit down. You're ready? You want to begin. And then your mind goes, okay, but what am I supposed to start with? So you research. You watch 5 more videos. You buy 1 more book. You save 1 more PDF. You collect ingredients like you're building a lab. And weeks later, you're still not practicing. You're just preparing. Here's what you risk if you keep going like this. You'll mistake acquisition for transformation. You'll become an expert in starting and a beginner in doing. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what Prima Materia actually means in practice, how to spot it in your own life, and why it's never something you need to go find out there. Because the fog is the trap. And the first matter is not rare. It's not exotic. It's not hidden in a mountain. It's already in your hands. Most people hear Prima Materia and imagine a secret substance, a mysterious mineral, a sacred plant, a special powder, some one weird thing you need to obtain before anything can begin. That fantasy is seductive because it gives you permission to delay. If the starting material is rare, then your lack of progress feels justified. I'm not stuck. I just don't have the right material yet. But the older logic is almost insulting in its simplicity. The first matter is not something you purchase. It's something you extract. Meaning the problem isn't that you don't have it. The problem is that you don't recognize it. And you don't recognize it for one reason. Because it looks too ordinary to feel spiritual. Let me give you the clean definition that actually works. Prima Materia is the raw, shared, common stuff inside you that can be transformed once it's separated from the noise. It's first because it's the earliest layer you can work with. Not the highest, not the purest, the earliest. And it's matter because it has weight, it has texture, it has resistance. You can't think your way around it. If you've been waiting for a sign, here's your first attention reset. Direct question. Right now, what in your life feels like a mess you keep trying to bypass? Is it a pattern in relationships you keep repeating? A craving you rationalize? A resentment you keep feeding? A constant distraction you can't stop touching? That is not a side issue. That is the material. Not because it's bad, but because it's unrefined. Here's the modern trap that keeps people stuck. We treat inner work like content, like an aesthetic. We want the perfect altar before we have a practice, the perfect system before we have consistency, the perfect concept before we have contact with reality. But transformation doesn't start with an idea. It starts with something in you that reacts. Because the first matter isn't a philosophy. It's a substance of experience. And it has 3 properties you can use as a test. If it's true Prima Materia, it's universal. Everyone has it. Close, you carry it every day. Ignored, you overlook it because it feels too basic. So if what you're looking for sounds rare, expensive, or complicated, it's probably not the starting point. Now the twist, and this is the second attention reset. When people ask, what is my Prima Materia? They usually mean, what should I add to my life? But the real question is, what do I keep touching every day that I don't know how to handle? Because what makes it first is not its status. It's its availability. Let's make it concrete with 3 everyday examples. Example 1. You open your phone without deciding to. You don't even enjoy it. You just can't not do it. That automatic reach is raw material, not the phone, the compulsion. Example 2. Someone says one sentence and you feel heat in your chest. You become sharp. You become small. You become defensive. That surge is raw material, not the story you tell about them. The surge. Example 3. You wake up and immediately feel behind. Not because you are behind, but because your mind starts the day with pressure. That pressure is raw material, not your calendar. A pressure. In all three cases, the first matter is the same type of thing. A charge, a pull, a reactive substance. It's inside, it's common, it's always available. And if you keep skipping it, nothing higher ever stabilizes. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, so it's in me. But what does extract even mean? Good, because this is where people either finally begin or they drift back into fog. Extract does not mean you invent a new personality. It means you separate the active part of you from the passive situation. That's the entire mechanism. In a passive life, events drag you. In an active life, you can act on events. So the extraction is the moment you stop being dragged, not with force, not with performance, with clarity. You notice the charge as a thing. You stop calling it me. You stop calling it the world. You treat it like material. And once it's material, it can be worked. This is the part that feels unglamorous, but it's the real start. If your inner state is constantly polluted by spite, distraction, guilt, or numbness, you don't have a stable container. You can't mature anything. Not because you're unworthy, because you're scattered. So the first transformation is always the same. From reaction to observation, from compulsion to choice, from confusion to a single clear lever. Quick checkpoint so you feel the path. So far, we've done two things. We removed the fantasy that Prima Materia is a rare external ingredient, and we identified what it actually looks like in real life, the raw charge you keep experiencing and avoiding. Next, I'll give you one simple way to recognize it instantly, so you stop hesitating at the start line. Here's the recognition rule. Your Prima Materia is whatever you keep trying to fix at the level of the story, instead of at the level of the substance. If you keep saying, I just need a better routine, I just need a better partner, I just need a better tool, I just need more motivation, but the same pattern returns, that means you're trying to solve a material problem with a narrative solution. The first matter doesn't respond to speeches, it responds to refinement. So the practical move is not a complicated ritual. It's a shift in where you aim your attention. Next time the charge appears, don't chase the situation. Don't chase the person. Don't chase the app. Hold the material. Name it as material. This is heat. This is craving. This is pressure. This is bitterness. This is restlessness. The label isn't magic. The separation is. Because the moment you separate, you're no longer fully passive. And that is the first proof you've found the real starting point. Now you can see why Prima Materia gets mystical so easily, because people want it to be something else. They want the first step to be elevated, but the first step is usually humbling. It's the part of you that has been running on autopilot, the part you've been excusing, the part you've been dressing up with language. And that's why it works as a beginning, because it's always there. You don't need permission. You don't need new objects. You don't need perfect knowledge. You need contact with the one thing you already have, your own raw material. So if you've been stuck because you don't know what to start with, here's the clean takeaway. Start with what keeps repeating. Start with what keeps pulling you. Start with what feels too ordinary to count. That's the first matter. And once you stop treating it as a vague mystical placeholder, you can finally begin the only work that actually moves. If you want more videos like this, you can like or subscribe. But either way, you already have the starting point.